Good evening and welcome to the rest of the news. We have a really great program for you this evening, and our special guest is General Carl Black. And General, tell us a little bit about your military experience.
Well, I'll be very brief, but I spent almost 30 years in the Air Force, the United States Air Force. And during that period of time, I flew airplanes, and that's what I wanted to do. That's the reason I went into the Air Force. And I was fortunate enough to never having been out of the cockpit in all those 30 years, with my last flight being just 5 days before my retirement. And I flew fighters. I flew other types of aircraft, but my primary mission was flying fighter-type airplanes, a lot of reconnaissance, and I was a wing commander and group commander, and finally ended up working for 3 4-star generals my last 5 years. So I saw it from the beginning as a basic second lieutenant and a pilot, all the way through to working for one of the 13 4-stars in the Air Force. And I got to work for 3 of them. So I had a pretty good look at what went on and enjoyed every minute of it.
I got this newsletter from Ollie North, and it had some very disturbing things in there. I was hoping you could comment on them. It says that the current administration is, quote, totally dismantling our armed forces. Those are pretty strong words.
Strong words and strong actions. Not only are they doing it in numbers for the people, but they're doing the same thing for the airplanes, for the tanks, for all the weapon systems. They're taking it down to back to World War II
levels, yeah.
Yeah, to World War II levels, and we haven't seen anything like this. And we should be progressing.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the administration and the president, where they get the idea that there's peace through weakness. It's always been peace through strength.
Right.
And of course, they're wanting to eliminate all the bombs that scare them to death. They're wanting to cut those, and it is frightening. And if someone else is not reelected who has a different opinion of what it takes to secure this country, then I'm afraid we're in for some really bad times.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's almost like it's opening the door for war, more and more war.
Absolutely. That's what it does, President Obama, he goes around all over the country and outside the country and apologizes for the United States and how we are in this country. And he tells them, we have our own problems now. You all are not the only one with problems. We have our problems. And just yesterday or day before, he identified the little town in Missouri to indicate that, yes, we had this young black man shot right there in Ferguson, Missouri. And that doesn't come close to someone chopping off somebody's head.
Right,
right. And so ISIS pops up right away, and you said, well, are you comparing I say, are you comparing this to ISIS and what they're doing? After all, we don't know if the young man that was shot, if he was guilty or innocent, because it hasn't been determined. But yet it's like we're guilty, like this country is guilty.
Right. Like you say, he's eliminated a lot of our nuclear weapons unilaterally, it seems.
Absolutely, taking it down to from 1,500, they're even looking at going to 1,000, and hopefully, I guess if the Democrats maintain control of things, hopefully they may even go down to 300. I mean, that's what it was like in 1960.
Yeah.
You just can't understand what is going on. I mean, what the rationale is for it.
Right, right. And like you say, we always had the policy of peace through strength.
That's right. Yes.
And now it's just weakness, which is
Yeah.
a terrible situation. And then it seems that he's also taken down a lot of the Star Wars type programs in Europe. Is that right?
Well, he has, but the biggest thing is that we were first on the moon, and today NASA is nothing. We have no space program.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is progress. I mean, when he brags about his accomplishments, if I may digress a little,
Yes.
I think the song "The Great Pretender" was written for Obama.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I'm the great pretender,
Yeah. I
pretending
remember
that I'm doing well. My needs are such I pretend too much. It's all pretending, and it's hoping that we're not around. I'm sorry, but I am so tired of every time he leaves this country, he goes out and apologizes for it.
Mm-hmm.
And all the time he's apologizing, we're here busy at home cutting the programs, and talking about the money. But yet, and we can get to that later, but yet the freebies, the things that are being given away is increasing
Right.
while we're decreasing our defense. It's just alarming.
It seems to me that the Constitution says that the main job of the government is national defense.
It is to protect the country and the people.
Yeah.
And,
And now it says under Obamacare, funding for national defense is slashed while government handouts are going up and up and up.
Yeah.
That sounds like a formula for disaster.
It is. It's like going to Hades in Afterburner. It's what it's like, because we're sure moving in that direction.
And now this other newsletter that we were talking about earlier, it says more Americans are on welfare than are working full time.
Yep.
Now that's got to be something wrong there. More Americans are on welfare than are working full time. How can you keep going like that?
You can't, except running the printing presses, and that's why they run them 24/7. And they're hoping that China doesn't call their hand and say, we're not loaning you any more money. And when that happens, in my opinion, it's all over. I mean, the night or the day that it happens, it's all over. And, of course, The president, will then declare a state of emergency,
Oh, mercy.
and when that happens, of course, he will take over as literally our first dictator. I mean, that is what would happen.
That's where we're headed.
Unfortunately, it is. So, if the printing presses break down, we may be in trouble before we really think we're going to be.
Yeah, our last program was with a gentleman named Lauren Spivak from Massachusetts, and he's an economist, and he says that he has a $1 trillion bill that he carries around with him from Rhodesia, and he holds it up and says, what do you think you can buy with this $1 trillion bill? And the answer is a Pepsi.
Wow.
A Pepsi.
Wow.
So it seems to me that's where we're headed.
Well, it is. I would agree that absolutely it's the way we're headed.
All you have to do is go to the grocery and you can see that the price of everything has gone up.
Yes.
Okay, now this little book is something we were talking about. This is a book by David Horowitz. And David Horowitz was born into a family where the mother and father were both card-carrying communists. Mm-hmm. And he was a communist for a number of years. As I understand it, they killed one of his friends, and he began to see the light that communism was not a good thing. And he turned around and started exposing the communists in America. And that's all well and good, but now he wrote this little book called From Shadow Party to Shadow Government. And it's about George Soros and the effort to radically change America. And this little book is unbelievable. I think one time he put $50 million into an election to try to get God-fearing people out and put anti-American people in there. And then he raised another $50 million from his buddies. And so they had $100 million that they poured into, I believe it was the Obama election, to just, try to take control of our country.
Yep. And that's what it's all about. And, little did we realize when Obama made the statement that they were going to transform this country, into a whole new country, that's exactly what he has continued to do. It's about the only thing that he's been totally successful, but he's been quite successful at doing that.
Now, here it says that George Soros supported the Muslim Brotherhood. Those are the guys that make all these terrorist organizations and support them. It says that he poured lots of money into socialized medicine. He poured lots of money into global warming and cap and trade, which is basically to tear down Americans' industry. Mm-hmm. And this whole idea of CO2, which really is beneficial, but he's so worried about CO2 production. And then he put a lot of money into gay rights and same-sex marriage. He put lots and lots of money into ACORN and the distortion of these elections, and also what he calls the SOSP, Secretary of State project, where they can again get involved in voter fraud. So this book is really something. We just ordered 35 of these. If you call this number right now, we'll send you one of these books. The number is 893-2444, and we'll send you this book right away. And we'll send you more of them if you want. They only cost us $1, and it's you know, like you said, everybody realizes there's some problems in America,
Yeah.
but it's hard to figure out why they're problems and who's causing them and what's causing them and all that. This little book explains who's causing the problems, who's paying for causing these problems, and what you can do about it is to vote out the people that are causing the problems.
It's our only salvation, it appears to me, and that's why that people ought to really pay attention to the upcoming election here in just a couple of months, and not just wait till the morning when
Oh,
you go
yeah.
vote and
Yeah.
say, well, I really don't know who's running or what they stand for, but they ought to get themselves educated as to who these people are and what they're about and what they're going to do to try to change, or perhaps to try to save the nation, because I think it's critical.
Now, I believe it's almost time that the voter registration is going to close for the general election. So if you're not registered to vote, if you call that same number, 893-2444, we'll help you register to vote and get you a copy of this. And it's really, really important. Like you say, it's right down to the wire. We need to turn our country around, or it's too late. Our children are not going to make it the way we are going now. So we'd like to encourage you to call that number, 893-2444, and we will send you a free copy of this booklet and also help you get registered to vote, or if you want, we can help you get voter registration at your entire church or all your friends and relatives and neighbors and everything. But we have got to get registered to vote. Now, we're also studying these elections like the generals just said, and we are evaluating all these candidates, and we'll send you a copy. Again, it's all free on a voter guide that shows you how these candidates voted and who's endorsing them, what they stand for, and that's free. We'll send you enough for everyone in your neighborhood and everyone in your church. We'll send you enough for everyone at your job. Everybody, just give us a call at that number, 893-2444, and we'll get all this information out to you.
And it is so helpful because you cannot remember all of the candidates and all they stand for when there's a lot of people being elected. So if you got that just to refer to, even as you're getting ready to go into the booth, if you know, then your vote will really be worth something.
Yeah, there's going to be, on the internet, there's going to be a voter guide too. And if you call that number, 893-2444, we'll tell you how to get that information off the internet. Again, people that support America, support the Constitution, support freedom, and those that are against all of that. So, it's really important to give us a call right now, 893-2444, and we'll get you this little booklet about who's paying to subvert our country. It's costing them millions of dollars to tear down America and our freedoms and our industry. And this guy, Soros, is behind the whole thing. And it's all documented in this little book by David Horowitz, who was himself a communist. So he knows all about the communists. So I think it's a very authoritative booklet.
It would be a good one to have for sure. Often I think about our own president and the fact that when he was born that his mother was communist. I don't think I'm wrong on this now. His mother was communist, and her mother and father were communists.
Oh, brother.
So the very early years, it was that influence. And then when he became of school age, he attended the Muslim schools.
Yeah, yeah.
And there again, when we come to this country, we wonder who's trying to tear it down, and it isn't Americans, or it isn't people who were Americans for a number of years. It's outsiders who are willing to put up the money. And,
Yeah.
you know, and then our Congress and our Senate sits there and refuses to take action on some things that are critical, and right now they're on recess. I don't know when they work, to be honest with you. It's hard to keep up with it, but it's unnerving to say the least.
We're going to give you the little booklet on George Soros and how he's putting up millions and millions of dollars to subvert our country. We're also going to give you the information for voter registration for your church. Every church needs to have voter registration before they, completely do away with freedom of religion. And also, there's a lot of work being put into a voter guide for this election coming up, and that will all be free. All of it is free, and we'd love to send it to you and get you involved in trying to save our country. Now, let me see what. Oh yeah, this is a tremendous DVD. This is one by William Federer. He's speaking about the last 1,000 years of Islam terrorism, and he gives you about a 2-hour video on world history, as the Muslims have been, they haven't just been cutting people's head off the last week or two. They've been doing it for 1,000 years. And he documents the whole thing in this video. And also there's a section in here by Bridget Gabriel, who is, I think the Muslims killed her parents and tried to kill her, and she escaped and went to Israel and has started this whole organization. But there's so much going on, and we'd love to send it to you and get it to you free. And all of these things that the general has been talking about, slashing national defense, giving more and more money to welfare recipients to the point that there's more people on welfare than there are working full-time. I mean, what's going on? And, it's just a terrible situation. We need peace through strength, not weakness. And so all of these things are coming to a head. This election is the most important thing you can do to try to turn this around. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Sort of an aside here, but it really bothers me. I was listening just the last couple of nights. Our president has had a lot of advice from the military on the withdrawal from Afghanistan, withdrawal from Iraq. He had a lot of advice, which is what they're there for.
Yes.
And military people, by the time you get to be a general officer, you've had several years, and you pretty well know what capabilities are and so forth. And yet, that advice almost unilaterally has been denied. And he has made another decision, which is his prerogative to do. But here's a man with no military experience and so forth, who must rely on the military for his advice. But when they gave him numbers of people to leave in Iraq and numbers of people to leave in Afghanistan and numbers, he changed them all.
And now we're suffering.
That's exactly right. Look at all the expenditures we put into Iraq, and look at all the people who lost lives there, and look at all the people who came back with arms and legs and limbs missing, and then look at what happened with the Veterans Administration and the mess that we had there, and
Yeah.
we're just seem to be headed in the wrong direction. We just seem to be
Well,
headed.
is it true? That seems to me that there's still military personnel in Europe since World War II.
Yeah, that's
Is that right?
Yeah.
But he wants to pull out everybody and let the whole thing go up in smoke.
Yep.
And not only those reporters had their head chopped off, but there are a lot of people there, a lot of them Christian people, that are just being murdered. Their children are being murdered wholesale because Obama won't protect them.
Not only will he not protect them, he won't even protect our southern border
Oh, mercy.
and the northern border, but the southern border is where the action is right now. And something has got to break here. I'm telling you, it has to break.
Well, they say they found Muslim prayer cloths and things in the desert where the Muslim terrorists are coming through the southern border and forming these cells all over the country, and they're just waiting for the word to start blowing things up.
Well, no reason they shouldn't, because they can do it. It's easy enough to walk through,
General, we're all out of time again, but we certainly appreciate you being here
Thanks
and
for
giving
inviting
us
me.
an authoritative insight onto what's going on with our government and what we can do about it. So call in right now, 893-2444, and we'll get you all of this information that we mentioned, with the booklet here about George Soros, the voter registration information, the voter guide information that we are putting out, and also on the internet, and the Federer video too on Muslim terrorism. God bless you. Tune in again next week for the rest of the news.